Welcome back to part 2 of statistics and variance. We left off learning about standard deviation, and here we're going to be looking at a problem involving Ed. Ed surveys his classmates to find out how many electronics each person has in their home. Find and interpret the standard deviation of the data set. So what he had to do is he first had to find the mean. So he added up all of the different answers he got from his classmates, divided by his number of classmates, and that gave him a mean of 9, meaning on average his classmates said they had 9 different pieces of electronics in their room, in their homes, excuse me. From here, we're going to take and find the square of the differences. Now, if you remember when we did mean absolute deviation, it's the same basic formula, but it wasn't squared. So we have to take the mean, which was 9, subtract from it each one of these data values here, and then square that solution. So, for example, 9, the first term was 9, minus 9 squared is 0. The next term is 10, so 9 minus 10, that's going to be negative 1, and negative 1 squared is 1. The next term is 11. 9 minus 11 is 2, negative 2, and negative 2 squared is a positive 4. And then keep going. 9 minus 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 11, that's going to be a negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 9 minus 9 is 0 again. 0 squared is 0. 9 minus 8 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 9 minus 11, that's going to be the negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. Lots of work here. You're going to keep it going. Keep it going until we get them all done. And there we go. So now we got all of our data sets here, except somewhere we missed 5. I did not include the 9 minus 5 for the last one, but they did have it here. It ended up having a difference of 4, and 4 squared was 16. So I'm not sure where the 9 minus 5 went to. But anyhow, we did all that, and we found their total, which is going to be 52. A lot of work here. From there, we're going to take and use that formula for variance, which each one of these numbers we found, that's just this line right here of data. Then you can take and replace all of this with just 52. And you can divide 52 by the number of data values, which was 15, and that gives you a variance of 3.47. Which is going to be slightly different than if you had a mean absolute deviation. It's just another way of comparing your data. So you're to find this standard deviation, we're going to take the variance that we got right here, take the square root of it. So we're going to take the square root of 3.47, which is going to give us 1.86, and that's going to give us a standard deviation of 1.86. This is going to be a pretty darn small number when compared to 9, and that suggests that most of the how do they say it here? Can't see that most of the data values are relatively close to the mean. And if you look at these numbers here, the mean was 9. 9's close to 9, 10's close to 9, 11's pretty close to 9, 6 not so much, but most of these data values that they gave here are going to be pretty close to 9, which means that you can say that with reasonable certainty that 9 is a good mean number to include for everybody as far as how many electronic devices they have in their house. Now we can also use mean and standard deviation to compare two different sets of data, which is what we're going to look at here. So this time we've got Miguel. Miguel's going to play golf at Table Rock and at Blackwater golf courses. And we're going to compare the means and the standard deviations of each of Miguel's scores. A study tip here, it says the standard deviation of a sample S and the standard deviation of a population, which has got that fancy O looking symbol, are calculated in different ways. In this text, we're going to calculate the standard deviation of the whole population. So, from here, we're going to use a graphing calculator, which means things are fixing to get really interesting. And I'm going to have to pause this video to bring up some other stuff for us to work, because it's going to get pretty freaky, I'll go ahead and throw up some screen information here so you can be writing it down, and I'm going to get everything else I need ready to go. Alright, now the first thing we're going to have to do is we have to create the list. So I'm going to do a list for Table Rock, and we're going to do a list for Blackhawk. So in doing that, I'm going to get on my TI-83 calculator. Works very similar to TI-84, and I'm going to hit the Stat button. And then we're going to hit 1 for edit, or you can just hit enter since edit is highlighted. And then you can see that there is a list of stuff already for list 1, which I'm going to clear out. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit the clear button. Actually, I'm going to go up to list 1. I'm going to hit the clear button, and it looks like it's still there, but when I go back down, now that one's gone. I'm going to hit the data for list 1, which was an 81, and I'm going to hit my enter, and then I'm going to have a 78 enter, a 79 enter, an 82 enter, an 80 enter, another 80 enter, a 79 enter, an 83 enter, an 81 enter, and an 80 enter. And that's going to be my first list. But we also have list 2 that we can do, which is going to be the Blackhawk list, and that's going to be 84, 79, 86, 78, 77, 85, oops, I skipped one, 88, we'll go and put that one in, 79, 87, and 86. So now I have my 2 lists, which is going to be the first part we need for finding the standard deviation. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my Stat button, and I'm going to hit the right arrow to where I'm highlighting the Calculate button now. And then after I've highlighted my Calculate button, then let's see if I can get where we can see a little bit better here. I'm going to use either 1 button or just enter, because 1 is already highlighted for 1 variable stats. I'm going to hit enter that, and I'm going to hit enter 1 more time, and boom, that's the same information that they gave us on the spreadsheet or on the lesson. And you can see all that stuff is there. And right here, you see the X with a line over it. That is going to be your mean. So your mean data value is going to be 80.3. And this S sub X is equal to this number right here. That's going to be the standard deviation they gave us. Now to look at the other list, the one we created for Blackhawk, I'm going to hit the second button again, and I'm sorry, not the second button, I'm going to hit the Stat button again, and I'm going to go to the right arrow for Calculate again. I'm going to hit the 1 variable stats again, but this time I need list 2. So I'm going to hit my second button. I'm going to hit the Stat button because above that is list, and I'm going to scroll down to list 2 and hit enter. And when I do that, hit enter 1 more time. Once again, our mean or average is going to be 82.9 this time, and our standard deviation is going to be the 1.47 yada yada that you see right here. So that's one way that you can find the mean and the standard deviation using your graphing calculator. We're also going to take and look at it using the Desmos calculator, because that's one that's more easily accessed by you. But before we do that, I want to go back and talk about what we actually found here. So you can see here, Table Rock had a mean of 80.3 with a standard deviation of about 1.4. And you see that 80.3 is located here, and the 1.4 right there for the standard deviation. Meanwhile, Blackhawk had a mean of 82.9 and a standard deviation of about 4.0. Which can be, I was actually pointing to the wrong thing. It's not the S of X, it's going to be the funny O of X is going to be where they're getting their numbers from. So here their mean is the 82.9. The standard deviation, that rounds to be 4.0. And we can say with that, therefore he tends to score lower at Table Rock, because the average score at Table Rock is lower than the average score at Blackhawk. And there's a greater standard deviation at Blackhawk, which means when he's playing at Blackhawk, he has more variation in the score he gets. Is that he's not getting as consistent of a score every time he goes to Blackhawk as he does when he's going to Table Rock. Now, That shows how to use the data. Now we're going to go and jump over to our Desmos calculator, and we're going to learn to do the same exact thing using Desmos. So the first thing we're going to do in our Desmos calculator is we're going to create our list, and we're going to do it by hitting the plus sign in the top left, and then we're going to hit the table button. And we're going to take and start typing in our values, which is going to be an 81, a 78, a 79, an 82, not 90, 80, another 80, another 79, 83, 81, and 80. So right there is going to be my list that I'm working with. Now we're going to work on finding our function. So we're going to hit our keyboard, and we're going to have to add a new line here, and this one's going to be a function. So I added my function, and then I'm going to jump over to the right hand side. I'm going to click functions, and I'm going to scroll down to statistics. I'm going to hit mean, and I need to remember what the name of my list was, and you see right here that list is x sub 1. So I'm going to type an x button. I'm going to come over to my, to hit the sub, I have to hit the shift and the underscore button, which is going to be, for me, shift and the minus sign, and then hit 1, and right there, boom, is going to be the same mean we found with the graphing calculator. We can also find the standard deviation this way. I'm hit the plus sign to get another function in here. I'm going to go over to my functions. I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to find standard deviation, and then once again I'm going to have the X. I'm going to hit my shift and my sub button and hit 1, and right there it's the same standard deviation we found the other way. Lots of cool things we can find this way. You want to know the means, you want to know all kind of stuff. So let's see what else we got for statistics: means, minimums, maximums, lower quartiles. How about that mean absolute deviation we hate finding so much? Let's find the MAD of that sucker. So we're going to hit that, hit the X, shift, underscore, 1, and boom, there's your mean absolute deviation of this list without having to do all that horrible pencil and paper work that you had to do otherwise to find these data sets. Really cool. The graphing calculator is a wonderful resource, and you're going to be using it a lot in high school to find all kind of things. You're really going to like finding the stuff this way versus using the pen and paper way. Now that's going to be it for the lesson. We've learned how to find the mean absolute deviation using both pencil and paper and a calculator. We've also found out how to find standard deviation using both pencil and paper and the calculator. You can use your Desmos calculator, or you can use a graphing calculator like this TI-83 that I have, or the newer model TI-84. Both great calculators. I'm not going to make you do pencil paper on finding all these things. That'd just be downright cruel. But you are going to have to be able to use your calculators to find it if you want to go that road. If you want to pencil and paper it, more power to you. I'll see you in class.